Unsolved mysteries. The vanishing of the Beaumont children. The disappearance of the Beaumont children is one of Australia's most enduring and tragic unsolved mysteries.
In the summer of 1966,
With three siblings, Jane, 9, Arnna, 7, and Grant Beaumont, 4, went missing from Glenelg Beach in South Australia. They had set out on what should have been an innocent day at the beach, but in a bizarre twist, they would vanish without a trace, sparking a nationwide search that has continued for decades. The mystery of their disappearance remains unresolved, and the case has captivated the public and investigators alike for over half a century. A day at the beach turns into a nightmare. On that fateful day, the Beaumont children, who were well known in their community for their independent and responsible nature, asked their mother Nancy if they could visit Glenelg Beach, located about a mile from their home in the suburb of Somerton Park. Glenelg was a popular destination for families, and the children had frequently visited the area with their parents. Nancy agreed, trusting that her children were old enough to go by themselves. The Beaumont children set off for the beach early in the morning, with Jane, the oldest, taking on the role of the group leader. They had promised their mother they would return by lunchtime, and their behavior that day seemed entirely ordinary. They were excited to go swimming and to enjoy the summer weather. After some time on the beach, they were spotted by a few witnesses who saw the children playing near the shoreline. The last confirmed sighting of the children was around 12:30 p.m. when a young woman saw them sitting on a bench near the jetty at Glenelg. They appeared to be waiting for their mother to return and did not seem to be in any distress. After that, however, no one saw them again. The panic sets in. As the hours passed and the children failed to return home, Nancy became increasingly anxious. By mid-afternoon, she went to the beach herself to search for them, but there was no sign of the children. After asking local beachgoers and the staff at the beach kiosk if they had seen the children, Nancy realized something was terribly wrong. She immediately alerted her husband, Jim, who began calling around to check if anyone had seen their children. At first, they assumed the children had become distracted and wandered off. But as night fell and no word came, panic set in. The couple reported the children missing to the police, and a massive search operation was launched to find them. A massive search effort. The police and volunteers scoured the area around Glenelg Beach, combing through the sand, nearby parks and streets, but there was no trace of the children. They even checked the water, fearing the children might have drowned, but no bodies were found. The search continued for days with no leads and no evidence of where the children could have gone. Despite the efforts of hundreds of police officers and volunteers, the children remained missing. Their disappearance shocked the local community and captured the attention of the entire nation. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the family's hope began to wane. The strange circumstances and theories. The circumstances surrounding the disappearance of the Beaumont children were strange and puzzling. No one could understand how 3 young children, who had been well behaved and familiar with the area, could simply vanish without a trace. Several theories emerged, but each one seemed to raise more questions than answers. One theory was that the children had been abducted by a stranger. Witnesses had reported seeing the man speaking to the children on the beach, but there was no clear description of the individual, and the identity of this man was never confirmed. The police later released a composite sketch of the man, but this lead went nowhere. Some speculated that the man may have been watching the children for some time before taking them. The idea of a stranger abducting the children seemed plausible, especially considering the eerie reports of a suspicious man near the beach that day, but there was no definitive evidence to confirm this. Another theory was that the children had run away. However, this seemed unlikely given their young ages and their previous behavior. Jane, the eldest of the 3, was mature for her age and had promised her mother they would return home. None of their personal belongings, including their swimsuits and shoes, were missing from the area they had been last seen. This would have suggested that they had not left voluntarily. A third theory was that the children had somehow wandered off and become lost. No one was able to explain how 3 children could have disappeared in such a busy and populated area without anyone noticing. The fact that they had vanished so completely, with no evidence left behind, led many to believe that they had been taken rather than simply lost. The investigation and lack of evidence. The investigation into the Beaumont children's disappearance was extensive, but it produced few leads. Despite hundreds of interviews with potential witnesses, the police could not find anyone who had seen the children after their last confirmed sighting at 12:30 p.m. on the beach. No one had heard anything unusual, and no one had any concrete information about the children's whereabouts. One of the most frustrating aspects of the case was the lack of physical evidence. There were no footprints, no items belonging to the children, and no clear clues pointing to their fate. The police followed up on numerous tips, including possible sightings of the children in other parts of the country, but all these proved to be false. Over time, the case grew colder, and the Beaumont children's disappearance became one of the most infamous unsolved cases in Australian history. While the police never stopped investigating, the lack of new evidence meant that the case gradually slipped from the headlines. Possible suspects and new leads. In the years following the disappearance, several individuals were speculated to be involved, but none of these theories led to a breakthrough in the case. Some believed that the children's disappearance was linked to a man named Harry Phipps, a local factory owner who was known to have been in the area at the time. Phipps had a criminal history and was allegedly seen near the beach on the day the children went missing. Some have even suggested that Phipps may have had a history of abuse that could explain the abduction of the children. There was never enough evidence to charge him with the crime, and he passed away in 2004 without any formal investigation into his possible involvement. Over the years, new leads and theories have surfaced, but none have provided conclusive evidence regarding the children's fate. In 2013, a documentary about the case prompted renewed interest, and new information surfaced about a man who allegedly saw the children being taken by a man in a car on the day they disappeared. Despite this, the police have never been able to confirm this account, and the case remains unsolved. Theories and legacy. While the investigation into the Beaumont children's disappearance continues, the case remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in Australian history. The theories surrounding the children's disappearance are varied, but the most widely accepted theory is that they were abducted, whether by a stranger or someone with a personal connection to the family. The tragedy of their disappearance has left an indelible mark on the Australian public. The case has also left a lasting legacy in the way authorities approach missing children cases. The disappearance of the Beaumont children, along with the disappearance of several other children around the same time, led to changes in law enforcement procedures and the creation of new missing persons protocols. The story of the Beaumont children serves as a haunting reminder of the unknown, of how the lives of a family can be forever altered in the blink of an eye. The hope that the children are still alive lingers, but until new evidence emerges, their fate remains a mystery. The legacy of their story continues to captivate, intrigue, and haunt those who seek the truth behind their vanishing. If you found this case compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more gripping true crime stories that continue to captivate audiences around the world. Thank you for your continued interest in these unsolved mysteries.